Welcome to Leaf Trellis, the first block in the Spirit of Flora project. As you can see, this lovely tile-like block is made of 4 smaller blocks that look like this, joined together to create the overall finished motif. In these videos, we're going to be looking at the trickier aspects, but also to give you some tips and techniques that you can take forward into other blocks in this, not just in the Spirit of Flora project, but hopefully into your wider crochet. So let's get started. Right, to start with, I'm going to show you a neat way to start the centre of a block when you're working in the round. Sometimes you might find when you're making the centre circle, you can see a little lump or a bump, and what that is, it's the starting slip knot that we haven't hidden well in our project. So I'm going to show you how to do that every single time and to get a lovely, neat, smooth starting ring for your project. So it will work not just for this block, but for any block where you've got to make a centre from chains, and also not just this project, so anything where you're working in the round. This is a little tip that I've learnt from Jane that will stand you in really good stead in sort of all your crochet really. So we are going to start as usual with a slip knot, and this is the knot that causes the problem, so we're going to be very careful to hide this correctly, and that's what's going to give us that lovely smooth appearance. So I started with the slip knot, and for leaf trellis we make 4 chain, and it doesn't matter if you make more than that and the ring is more open, this will still work very well to hide the knot and keep the centre nice and smooth. So we're going to join this little chain into a ring by putting the hook into the first chain that we made. And this is the point where we have to be careful with positioning things correctly. You can see at the moment that the tail of the yarn is at the front of the hook, and this is what would cause us that little bump and problem. So all I'm going to do is just pull that tail over to the back of the hook and to the right. I'm doing this in a sort of exaggerated way. It's smoother obviously when you're not filming it, and what that gives me, if you look, is 2 very clear, very clean loops that just sitting on the hook. There's nothing else there because the knot has now passed to the back and is sitting neatly out of the way. So when I finish my slip stitch to join and give that tail end a little pull, the knot is neatly behind there. The proof of this, or the finished effect if you like, will come when we do the next step, which is to fill that ring up with stitches. So if we move on to that, and then you'll be able to see exactly what we mean by that lovely smooth finish. Right, so to get myself up to, or to get the hook up to the correct level, I'm going to do 1 chain, and then I'm going to go ahead and fill this little loop up with stitches. And for this leaf trellis we need 8 double crochet into the center. And at this point I'm just going to remind you that I am working here with UK terminology. Obviously the patterns are available in US terminology as well as UK terminology, but for the videos, references to stitches I will be making are UK terminology. Right, so this is number 5, 6, 7, and then on the very last stitch I'm going to crochet over that tail. So I'm going to pass it to the right and make sure that my hook goes underneath the tail end, so it's caught in under the stitch. So I've now made 8 stitches into the ring, and when I slip stitch to close, this is the bit that I can never do neatly and seamlessly on camera. When I slip stitch to close, you will see, just take my hook away for now, you will see that that center is beautifully clear. There's no lump, there is no slip knot sort of ruining the line. You'll know what I mean if this is something that you've struggled with in the past. You get that little lump in there that you just can't disguise. So just following that little tip to keep the knot hidden at the back is going to take care of that particular concern for you. And even if you've got a much sort of more open centre, it still does the trick and it still looks beautifully smooth. So hopefully that will help. Let's move on.